If you live in rural Alabama or Louisiana and the shizzle hits the fan, you might be able to survive off of crawdads and alligators and snake buttholes and such. But if you live in LA or Chicago or New York City, you got to get a better plan. So you might be thinking, is this old bald-headed mountain monkey about to make fun of people who live in cities? Au contraire, mon cher. May I dissuade you from that presupposition. I'm not here to hate, I'm here to help out. So, you know, you've probably seen some of these survival videos and survival articles, and you know, most of them involve people that live in rural places or have access to, you know, remote places where, you know, their main strategy is to try and live off the land if the shizzle hits the gizzle. And you know, but if you're living in New York City and you're surrounded by, what is it, like 9 million people in New York City, something like that, if you're in an area with that kind of population density, you know that none of these articles are valid to you. You know, you're not about to go and, you know, strap up a Rambo knife and jump out of trees to spear boars or anything like that. It's just not going to happen. It's not in the cards. So, you know, you're going to have a more pragmatic game plan that's applicable to you. So if the shizzle hits the gizzle, and I mean whether it's, you know, a major collapse of society or whether it's just some minor disruption in, you know, social cohesion and stability, the preparation that you need to make is essentially the same. You know, the steps you need to take to make sure that you have safety and comfort, they don't really change a lot, do they? So obviously, you know, we've seen some situations where social cohesion has kind of been disrupted lately in US big cities. It turns ugly really fast. So, you know, your game plan probably shouldn't be predicated upon getting in on the looting and battling the gangs for that last jar of pickles. You know, you might get something in the final loot of Walmart, but it's probably not going to be all the things that you need to, you know, to provide yourself comfort and survival until things stabilize a little bit. So it's, first of all, it's not all bad news. In a big city, you actually have some advantages to being out in a rural setting. You know, your house or your apartment is already probably hardened fairly well, fairly robustly against, you know, petty crime and breaking and entering and things like that. You have bars on the windows, maybe. You have better locks on the doors. You usually have in urban, you know, buildings, you usually have more robust doors and locks on your front doors. If you're in an apartment building, you know, you're in a virtual fortress. You only have one entrance in, and, you know, one way in and out that you have to defend. And if it's constructed well and you have a good lock on the door, then you already have safety, and that's really part of your security, isn't it? Sorry, I had to set up shop somewhere else. Too many people kept coming over to see what I was doing. A couple, you know, just came over and stood in front of my camera to see what was going on, see what I was talking about. Anyway, so you're in a big city, the shizzle hits the gizzle. You're already prepared with shelter, I presume. You know, presuming you don't live on the street, you already have one of the essential elements of your survival and your safety, shelter. So say you're in an apartment building, you're already in a fortress. You have especially if you're a few floors up, you're in a pretty easy to defend position. So you have shelter, you have relative safety. You might have, I presume you have a robust front door. If you don't, you should be addressing that sooner rather than later anyway. Go invest in a couple extra ancillary locks. Maybe get one of these wedge things that go under the front door to fortify your front door. You should be doing that anyway if you live in the big city, especially in a high crime area. If you live in a city where it's legal to possess a firearm, you might want to think about that and learn how to use it. You wouldn't want to be a victim of your own firearm, your own mishandling of your firearm. If you're in one of the many cities where you can't have a firearm, then there's a lot of other secondary options that you can use to defend yourself in a home invasion situation. A golf club. A golf club can deliver a pretty serious blow to a would-be assailant. If somebody doesn't have a firearm, you can do well against them with a golf club, a baseball bat. When I lived in LA, I preferred a screwdriver in one hand, a claw hammer in the other. Again, unless somebody has a firearm, I don't know about you, I wouldn't want to go against somebody that has a screwdriver and a claw hammer. You could do some serious damage. That's an effective weapon in a home invasion situation. You shouldn't be afraid to defend yourself. If society breaks down, you can't call 911. Nobody's going to help you. It's all up to you. So you need to be prepared mentally to defend your life and your safety. So once the looting ensues, your best strategy is to shelter in place. And in order to do that, you have to prepare ahead of time. You can't just wait till the looting starts and run out and hope you can snag enough toilet paper to get you through. You have to prepare in advance. That's what I'm suggesting. It's preparation for a large catastrophe. Preparation for a large catastrophe is no different than preparation for a smaller disruption in social order. All right, so first of all, if it hits the fan, the last thing you want to do is panic. Panic doesn't help you. In fact, panic makes you do a lot of stupid things. Yeah, when we're scared, we make stupid decisions. So the preparations that you need for a major catastrophic event are essentially the same as those that you would take for a minor disruption in social order. And if you prepare in advance, you're going to be a lot more secure. You're going to be a lot more mentally stable, knowing that you have what it takes to wait things out. Are you prepared to live without electricity? When it hits the fan, you're probably not going to have a steady supply of electricity. It's not magic. Somebody somewhere has to produce that energy and bring convenience and in some cases survival to your life. Aside from the minor inconveniences that we would have if the electrical grid goes down, like you won't be able to watch your Netflix or your Yahoo videos or update your face picture on Facebook or whatever. There are a lot of essential things that we have in our modern life that rely on electricity. If you heat your house with electricity, then you need to be prepared with your cold weather gear. If you live in a cold climate, can you survive Chicago winter without heat in your house? Yes, you can if you're prepared, but you have to make sure you have good coats, good blankets, because that might be the only thing that keeps you warm and alive in the cold. Now, if you live in a hot place, yeah, it's going to be miserable. Without AC, you're going to be sweaty and grumpy. But more people are killed by cold than heat. It's unlikely that you'll die. Just open your windows. People can survive the heat to a certain extent. But the cold, no. If you live in Chicago or New York, you should have coats and blankets anyway. Be prepared to survive and be comfortable without electrical heat or gas heat for that matter, because it might run out. Now, cooking, if you cook with electricity, be prepared to survive on things that don't require cooking. That might be an inevitability that you face. So, yeah, it's miserable. It's miserable to imagine eating cans of beans or whatever, or hash, or whatever nasty vile stuff comes out of a can. I was in the military. I survived on sea rats for quite a while. That's some nasty stuff, but but here I am, still alive. So be prepared. Be prepared for the electricity to go out. Be mentally prepared for that. You can survive. People survived a long time without electricity, and so can you. So one of the major inconveniences that you'll face if the electrical grid goes down for an extended period of time is the lack of water. You know, guess what? In order to get water up into your apartment, people need electricity to pump it up there. So if the electrical grid goes down, the water supply goes down. So one of the first things you need to prepare, buy a few cases of water. When you go to the store, snag a few cases of water. I don't care how small your apartment is. There's a place in the back of your closet, you know, under your, push your jammies aside and throw a couple of cases of water in there, and always keep that on hand. Water is the most essential element for your survival. So, and you're not going to be able to run out to the store or Starbucks and snag some bottles of Fiji water if everything goes haywire. So have a few cases of bottled water in your closet. Whether you like to drink bottled water or not, irrelevant. Be prepared. Just do it. Don't be a fool. Don't be caught flat-footed. Get some water and then rotate it. Rotate your stock so you know you don't end up drinking 2-year-old water. You can, but it tastes nasty. If and when the electrical grid goes down and the water shuts off, guess what else you need your water for? That's what you use, if you haven't noticed, to flush your toilets, and that can get nasty fast. So at the first hint of trouble, if you think, man, things are going down, I'm going to lose my electricity, I'm going to lose my water supply. In fact, if the electricity goes off and people are looting and it looks like you're going into societal collapse, fill your bathtub. Very first thing, fill your bathtub. And if you can, go and buy a couple of plastic buckets. Have some buckets on hand too. Have a little backup supply of water, not just for drinking, but to flush your toilet. Yes, to flush your toilet. Now, I've lived in places in the world where we had very questionable electrical supply and questionable water supply. In fact, a long time ago, I lived in a third world country where you got electricity, maybe a few times a week, and you got water maybe 3 or 4 times a week. And when you got it, you filled up your buckets, you filled up your bathtub, and that's what you lived on. And we dropped chlorine tablets into our water. That's what we drank. And when you wanted to flush the toilet, you dipped some water out of the bathtub and poured it into the toilet. And now you don't want to go nuts with your water supply too, because you don't know how long you're going to have to go without flushing your toilet, and that gets. Hey, Betty. Hello. Hello there. Hola. Hola. A cute little dog with a jacket. You missed him. So if you're in a situation where you can't flush your toilet, here's a rule of thumb: water yellow, be mellow; water brown, flush it down. Okay, don't waste your water on a little bit of pee. Just leave it in place. Yeah, it's nasty. Yeah, it stinks. You live with it. Ration your water. It'll get a lot worse if you run out of water to flush the toilet and you have to leave it there. If you reach that situation, if you're in a situation where you don't even have water to flush the toilet, don't keep your feces in the house. As nasty as this sounds, do it in a bag, in a plastic bag. Sling it out the window into the alley, whatever. Yes, it's disgusting. Yes, it's vile. Don't keep it in your physical presence, especially for long-term situations. If the electricity is going down for a couple of days, don't be crapping out the window. That's not what I'm saying here. I'm just saying, if an extended period of a major disruption, you can't flush your toilet, don't leave your poop in the house. All right, clear enough? Clear enough. All right, so another thing the main thing you're gonna have to prepare, aside from water, is food. Now don't wait to loot the Walmart. There might not be, you don't want that to be fighting for that last jar of pickles or whatever. You want to prepare things that you don't mind eating, canned things or dried things that don't require cooking. That's the way to go. You also need to get things that have a long expiration life. You don't want to, get a big old stock of things that go bad in a month. And then every time you go to the store, okay, I know some people are thinking, well, I barely get by. I live from hand to mouth and paycheck to paycheck. Yeah, and that's a compelling reason why you should prepare even more. You don't have the means of going out and snagging, a whole bunch of food in the moment of truth. Here's $1,000, give me a can of peas. Every time you go to the supermarket, snag a couple extra cans of whatever it is you like, and then stash them somewhere in your house. Have a little pantry where you have some backup food, and buy things that you like to eat. In a miserable situation, the last thing you want to do is have to eat things that you didn't really like, during normal times. So grab cans of whatever it is you like. Every time you go to the supermarket, just buy 1 extra or 2 extra. Skip Starbucks for a couple of days and snag an extra can of chili or whatever. And even if you have limited space, you might say, oh, Daniel, I live in San Francisco in a tiny apartment. Yes, and you still have space. You do. You just need to organize better. You have a corner in your closet, or in a drawer, under the dresser, under the bed. There's a lot of place. There's a lot of spaces even in small apartments that most people don't utilize. And if you optimize your space usage, you can do it. You can do it. Start stocking up on food now. Don't wait until things get ugly. And it's not a superfluous, expense. It's not like you're just buying something that you'll never use, some frivolous expenditure. You'll eat it. Buy things you eat, and then rotate it. And sometimes, oh, what am I going to have for dinner? Oh, I don't know. Let me snag something out of my little pantry. Start preparing a buffer stock of food. It'd be nice if you could be like some of these, like Mormons do their 2-year supply of food. I don't know if they still do that, but in the past, that was the advocation, was prepare enough food in your house, in your pantry, that you can survive 2 years without disruption to your life. And it's a really smart idea when you think about it. Regardless of whether you're looking at the end of the world scenarios, or apocalyptic war scenarios, or whatever. In times of need, it's nice that if you don't have to need. So start preparing your food stock. You're gonna have to figure out what that means to you and what you want to eat, but do some calculations. How many could you go 2 months without ever going to the store? Can you do that? I hope you can, because you're not going to go out and live on the land. Not if you're in New York City and 9 million people go running around looking for things to eat. Yeah, you might be something that they eat. Medicine and any kind of medication you take. Go snag some Tylenol or Advil or whatever it is you use for pain. Get some painkiller. Get a first aid kit. Get some Neosporin, for wounds. Some kind of wound sanitation and some kind of wound medicine. Prepare medications ahead of time. You should have that anyway. If you cut your finger, you shouldn't have to run out to the pharmacy to go find a Band-Aid and some Neosporin to put on it. You should already have these kind of things at hand. Start preparing. Be responsible for your own safety and for your own comfort. All right, I've rambled on for a while now. Last subject, your pets. Now, I don't know about you, but if you're like me, your pets mean a lot to you. I have bunnies. I prepare a buffer stock of bunny food. My rabbits could probably live 6 months, 9 months on the amount of food that I have stashed away for them. Okay, those of you are thinking, in times of need, wouldn't you eat your rabbits? That'd be a solid no. I would eat you before I ate my rabbits, just so you know. And if you're wondering, doesn't my life mean more to you than your rabbits? That would be a solid no. So take care of your animals' needs, of your pets' needs. Go buy some buffer stock of cat food for Fluffy. Go get some buffer stock of dog food for Rover. Don't make your pets suffer along with you. You want them to have the same kind of comfort that you do. Think ahead. Think ahead and you'll be all right. All right, well, I think I've rambled on enough. You get the idea. I think I might do a follow-up video with a list of some really basic items that you can prepare if you live in a city for a catastrophic situation. And I'll do that later on when I'm back in the States. But right now, I'm in Barcelona. There's a lot of things to do and a lot of things to see, and I got to get out there and do them and see them. So I'm going to leave you for now, and I'm going to do a couple more videos from Barcelona, and then I'm going to later on next week I'm going to go up into northern Spain and trek around on the southern border of France, and I'll do some videos up there too. All right, hasta luego, amigos y amigas. Hey buddy, hey buddy. Yeah. You having fun with sticks? Hola. Buenos días.